Hi everybody, this is your girl Jamila, aka Jay, and as most of you all know, October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and I think I spoke on it before where I said, I had experienced domestic violence not once but twice. So this is pretty much a story time of where it all started with me. So yeah, let's just get right into it. So the first time that I ever experienced domestic violence was it was when I was I was a teenager, I think. And I didn't even remember this, but a guy that I was messing with in my neighborhood, he had got upset with me or whatever, and he lifted my head and boom, banged it on the ground. He tripped me, made me fall to the floor, and then he lifted my head and banged it on the ground. Boom, right? But the only thing is that I really didn't pay too much attention to it because another guy that lived in my neighborhood, he came up on him. He's like, yo, what are you doing? Are you crazy? Like, that's raised knees. Like, he's gonna kick your beep beep, right? So that was the very first time that I had ever experienced it. I didn't really talk about that because it was like, okay, my uncle, he went and he handled that. But the time that is really bad for me was at the hands of my ex-husband. So most of you probably didn't know that I was married once before. I think I said it before, but yeah, I was married once before. And I had been with, this guy for a little while, and ended up marrying him, and he ended up being very abusive to me. And the thing about domestic violence is that you really don't want to get anyone involved. I know, like, certain women, they'll be like, oh, I'll get so-and-so to beat you up, I'll get this person to beat you up. But no, like, most women, when they are really in it, when the men start to threaten their families or to instill this fear into the woman, they don't want to get their families involved. So I'll go into detail of some of the things that happened. Like, some of the things that happened to me, like, no one believes. Like, to look at me now, you will never believe that I went through domestic violence. I'll show some of the pictures from that time frame at a later point in time. I'll show some of the pictures. My eyes stayed puffy from crying, like, all day and all night. Like, I would just cry myself to sleep. Like, that was the only state of peace that I found, was when I was asleep. So yeah, I'll go into like some of the stories. I'm just trying to figure out where to start, because like I said, some of the stories you will not even believe happened. And I'll probably do it like over a certain period of time. Like, I should write a book, really. That's what I should do. Like, it was crazy. So yeah, I'll just go into one of the stories of what happened. So one of the things that happened, like, I always call myself the getaway queen. All right, if anybody out there is going through anything and you need help getting away, or you think you it's time for you to move on, like, you ready to go. That's the thing about it. People that are abused, because they feel like they don't have control of their situation, people that are outside of the situation that want them to be relieved from the domestic violence situation, have to realize, is he using the microwave right now? Junior, are you serious?
I'm sorry.
While I'm recording, dude. People, like the family members and stuff of the victim, they have to understand that that person that is experiencing domestic violence already feels like they lost control of their situation. And yeah, it's easy to say, why don't they just leave? Why don't they just get out of it? If I were them, I would do this. If you were them, you wouldn't. Trust me. Because I used to say that if that was me, what, ain't nobody hitting on. And then when I got in it, when I was in it, it was a completely different story. So as family members to the person that's being abused, the most you can do is just support them whether they leave, support them whether they stay. Don't try to tell them what to do, because they already lost control, feel like they have no control of their current situation. I know, like, for me, it's like, okay, I don't have control over here. I can't let you control me too. I can't let my family control me too. I have to have some type of control in some area of my life. And then on top of that, it was, oh, they don't know him like I know him. Like, maybe I can help him. You can't help him. You cannot take him to therapy. You cannot go with him to therapy. You cannot say, oh, I'll stay and I'll help you. If a person is an abuser, they're just an abuser. They have to be willing to help themselves and want to change for themselves. That's it. You cannot help them. The only thing that you will help them to is another beep, another ASS kicking. And that's it. And that's the truth about it. Because they'll stop for the time being. They'll stop for a day. They'll stop for a week. They maybe even stop for 30 days. But then right after that, sure enough, it'll show up again and they'll do it again. So what I was going to say is, one of the stories, well, first, this is how it started. So I was fresh out of college, right? And I had started this job. I had a pretty good job, working in a daycare. And the guy, well, my ex-husband, he was working in the daycare with me before he was my ex-husband. And I really wasn't interested in him. And I used to hang out with another guy, right? And I didn't realize it until now that how he manipulated that situation where I was hanging out with somebody else. He manipulated that, and they are manipulators. He manipulated that situation because I would go to lunch every day with this particular guy, right? And then next thing you know, this guy was giving me the side eye. And like he didn't want to go to lunch with me anymore. And the next thing you know, my ex-husband, he was telling me, oh, like, yeah, this guy, let's say his name is John. Yeah, you know, John be talking about you on his DICK, and he talking about you always want to go with him to lunch and you sweating him. This is how he was talking. So I'm like, what? Like, what is he talking about? Like, me and him is mad cool. Like, what are you talking about? So he had got in my head with that nonsense, and more than likely he got into John's head with the same nonsense, probably telling him that I was saying that he was sweating me or whatever, that, you know, I don't know what he was saying, but I just know that this guy started looking at me weird, and then me and the guy started getting into it like more often. Like, I'm like what happened? I didn't realize it until like recently how the situation was being manipulated. But yeah, so that happened. So then my ex-husband started taking interest in me, started taking interest in me. And like he was standing up for me with the guy or whatever and all of this stuff. So that happened. And then, you know, some other things had happened. And then when because we worked around children. So when we were outside in the park one day with the kids, at the time we weren't dating or anything, like we were just talking, and he said to me, joking around, if you do this, I'll slap the SHIT out of you. So me, growing up in a family where I was the only girl for a long time, and like all of my cousins that's like around my age are male, So they had roughed me up, you know, well, not all of them, but some of them had roughed me up growing up. So it's like, you know, I eat those, which I don't think that that's a good idea either, to be roughing up the girls in the family. Like, let the girls be girls. They're delicate, they're flowers. Teach them how to be just that. Okay, they should not know how, oh yeah, I'm a hit a dude and I'm gonna be fighting and I'm gonna do this. No, no. I'm a woman. I'm a female. You know, I don't fight men. But no, like, I don't fight at all, period. But I don't fight at all, period. But yeah, like, let the girls be just that. But so much in, you know, certain family, certain cultures, the girls are roughed up by the boys. So when it came to that, on the outside world, you know, this guy, he was like, oh, I'll slap the shit out of you, like playing around or whatever. So I'm like, yeah, you're gonna get slapped right back. You know, like, okay, what you gonna do? No, that should have been like a red flag for me right there. But I just didn't think anything of it because, like I said, you know, I played around like that with my cousins all the time. So, and it's crazy that I even remember that happened. So then next thing you know, we started dating or whatever. And it came a time where he did slap the shit out of me. And I was like, what? Like, yo, he's serious. Like, and it hurt. He slapped me and it hurt. And I think that I was so shocked that he did it because, like, didn't no man put that. My daddy didn't whoop my behind. Like, so didn't no man put their hand on me. Other than, like, me playing around with my cousins, didn't nobody put their hand on me like that. Except for my mother giving me butt whoopings, but yeah, so I don't even remember the first time that he hit me, to be honest with you. I just remember he did it. It was like, oh shoot, like, wait a minute. I think it started more so with the words and the getting in my face and saying, if I told you to do this, then this is what you do. And I'm just trying to, like, I vaguely remember like how it started, like all of those different things. Like one time I was waiting for him somewhere and he hadn't showed up yet. So I was like, well, I'm leaving. And when he finally did show up, I think I was somewhere else, and he got in my face and was like, if I told you to stay in there and wait, that's just what you do. And you was like, okay. Yeah, so stuff like that has started happening. And also, in the beginning, I had said to my mother, I was like, Mom, does he remind you of a certain other person that we know that was abusive or is abusive? I don't know. That was abusive. I was like, does he remind you of him? This is before I even like got anywhere with him. Like, does he remind you of him? And she was like, oh, no. He doesn't remind me. But that was God letting me know from the jump, like, nah, like he got that same spirit on him. And I should have took flight then. But I didn't because I listened to my mother. And then also I had, if I'm going to tell it, I just might as well tell it. I had went to my dad and I got advice from him. I was like, Daddy, you know, this guy likes me or whatever. The only thing is he has a daughter. You know, I didn't mention the other part because my father wouldn't have known like that person, the person I was talking about. I just like, you know, he has a daughter or whatever, but I don't know, like, what do you think? I want you to meet him, whatever. So my father tells me, oh, well, everybody got kids nowadays. So I kind of listened to it, but I shouldn't have because I didn't have kids. So, and a whole lot of people I know didn't have kids. Like, I was fresh out of college. I should have been traveling and doing whatever. But that's neither here nor there. So I ended up dating a guy, right? So that happened. I ended up moving in with him. Like, this was, and on top of that, I was a virgin. Yeah, I was a virgin until I was 22. And growing up in the church, the thing that is taught is that you shouldn't be having sex outside of marriage. So when I lost my virginity to him, I felt like, oh my God, I just let God down. and this is the worst thing in the world. I need to marry this guy because I done had sex with him. So that was another one of the reasons why I ended up marrying him. Like, it was just wrong thinking and misguidance in so many ways. I'm just waiting for him to cut that off. June, thank you. So yeah, so I ended up I started living with him, and I tried to leave him before it got like real crazy. I was like, yo, something in my head was like, yo, I just can't deal with this. Like, I was like, yo, I'm not doing this no more. Before it got real bad, I was like, I'm not doing this no more. Like, I'm up here having all this premarital sex and all of this stuff, and I don't want to be bothered no more. So I never forget. I tried to leave him. I was on the train station. I was like, yo, I'm leaving. And homeboy turned around and asked me to marry him. So it was like, he asked me to marry him. It was like, ding, 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 ding. Whoa, like, he must really be serious. Like, he really wanted me to stay. He must really love me because he asked me to marry him, right? Mistake. I should have ran again. But I didn't, so we ended up getting engaged or whatever. And we ended up getting married. So needless to say, like, I didn't know him for very long, but because of the circumstances of certain things that had taken place, you know, things just kind of moved really fast with that relationship. So the next thing you know, he started telling me, walk with your, I forgot about this. Walk with your head down. Don't be looking up at nobody because I'm looking in the next dude's face. Yep, he told me, oh, you looking in a dude's face, so walk with your head down. And guess what? That's what I did. He had my mind. I was out there, like, that's what I was doing. I was walking with my head down. And what else would happen? I couldn't like really speak to nobody. So, all right, so I'll give you an example. So one day I went for a job interview at, it was so we worked at a daycare that had like multiple daycares. So, and the job that I initially had was a summer job, but he was permanent there at that location. So, once I was finished with that summer position, I went for another job within that same company, just at a different daycare. And I went for the interview, and it was a guy that was behind the desk. That was like a receptionist. Hold on a second. Just a second. This is... Ooh. So there was a guy that was behind the desk, right? And my last name at the time, because we were married, my last name at the time was Crumb. So the guy said to me, oh, your last name is Crumb? He was like, oh, my sister's last name is Crumb. And he was like, I said, yeah, that, asked him, I said, what's your sister's name? So he told me his sister's name, and he said, I said, oh, that's my husband's aunt. I said, his uncle is married to her. So I said, yeah, that's my husband's aunt. And he was like, oh, for real? And he was like, oh, I know him. He's telling me he knows my husband and all this stuff. Mind you, the guy is gay, right? So, and he's talking to me. He's like, yeah, I know him, whatever. So I go home like, oh, yeah. I'm telling him like, yo, I was at the, when I went to the interview today, it was this guy there that was like, oh, he knows your aunt and all this stuff. Why did I tell him that? I did not think that this would happen. He slapped the stew out of me. You hear me? And was like, oh, you talking to a man? You talking to him? Do you know him? All this stuff. Mind you, like I said, the guy is gay. The guy's not thinking about me. You talking to him? All this stuff. And I didn't know like what to do. It was just crazy. It was like, yo, all I did was like, this guy came to me and he just told me that he recognized the last name, and like, you hitting me, like, for what? So yeah, that was one incident that happened. Another incident that happened was when I was actually working in the daycare. He would ask me every day, oh, now I was a lead teacher. Okay, so I was a lead teacher in a daycare. So mind you, like I had contact with my parents. Like I'm very hands-on with my students and their parents. So I would speak to the parents every single day, male, female, whatever, mothers, fathers, whatever. Right? So every day he would ask me, "Oh, anybody in that daycare said anything to you? Any of those parents said like?" But mind you, he worked in a daycare too. And he knew what it was to speak to the parents. Anybody said anything to you? Now, look, he asked me, did that janitor, because there was a janitor that worked in it, did that janitor say anything to you? And at this time, I was scared. Like, nobody knew that I was going through domestic violence. I don't know. Like, me, now, I guess if you haven't been through it, it's hard to identify. But me now, I can look at somebody, I can look at a male, and I can tell if he's abusive. And I can look at a female, especially if she's walking with the guy, and I'll be like, he's not nice to her. He's abusive to her. I can see it every single time. So, nobody knew. Like I had cut my hair off, my clothes. He used to tell me that I was fat. Now, anybody that knows me, like from the past, knew that my mom called me a bag of bones. I was so skinny. I was so slim. I wasn't slim thick at all. I was just slim. I was just skinny. And he would tell me, "Oh, you fat." And if we went shopping, the size clothes that I was wearing, now mind you, I was a size, at that time, I think I was transitioning from a size 8 to a 10. And he would be like, "No, you need a bigger size." So I was getting size 12 clothes, and they were drooping on me. Okay, the shirts, he had me looking like I was an AG. Anybody that know what I think everybody knows what an AG is. He had me look like I was an AG. My hair was cut short because I got tired of him pulling on my hair. My shirts were just like super big on me. I wore like the polo button-up shirts. I had these khaki pants that were super big on me. And when I look at my pictures, I'm like, yo, I was small. Like, and he used to tell me I was fat. But anyway, like I was saying, so the janitor, he would come in my room to take out the garbage or whatever every day. He wasn't disrespectful or anything. And he would just say hi to me because that's what you do with your coworkers. You speak. So he asked me one day, I went home, and he asked me one day, who spoke to you? Anybody spoke to you? That janitor spoke to you? And because I was scared, like I wouldn't lie. And I'm not a liar anyway. But because I was scared, that's even more of a reason I just would not lie, because it's like he always manipulated my mind into thinking that he would find out. Like, I don't know why I thought that he would find out. Maybe because he knew people and he worked in the other daycare that was a part of that same branch. But I just thought that he would find out. So I told him, I was like, yeah, the janitor spoke to me or whatever. He said hi. He didn't say much of nothing. He just said hi. And he was like, oh, yeah? So he went to the daycare. Yes, homeboy went to the daycare. Went in a room with the janitor, because my classroom was the only classroom on that floor, because I had school-age kids and upstairs with a pre-K. So my classroom was the only classroom. He went up to the janitor, had him in a room, and told him, I'm guessing this is what he told him, because this is what he told me. Don't say nothing to my wife ever again. So the janitor ended up going to the director, naturally, because he's like, yo, I didn't even do nothing to this girl. He ended up going to the director. I almost lost my job. The director asked me what happened, and I just was like, nothing. I think she ended up calling. I don't know what happened, but I think my mom told her that I was being abused or something like that. I don't know. I know the director had spoke to me, and I just was like, oh, no, everything is fine. I'm not sure of what happened, blah, blah, blah. Right? So, yeah. That's what happened with that. Like, he would just do stuff like that. Even one day when a person at the church, a person at the church had spoken to me. Now, this man is married, and he knows this man is married. He knows his man, wife, and everything. He just said, hey, Sister Worm, how you doing? Turned around and spoke back like, hey, how you doing? Bless you. right? Don't you know when we got indoors and this man, my ex-husband, had a daughter or has a daughter, and this was taking place in front of his daughter. Don't you know when we got to where we were going that night, because I think we stayed in a hotel that night, because I think we had just moved back from down south or something like that. I'm not sure, but we was in a hotel room that night. And don't you know, when we got in that hotel room, he said, "Oh, you was bringing a brother so-and-so," and slapped the out of me. His daughter was sitting right there. Yep, I don't know if she was sleeping or what, but nonetheless, he did stuff in front of his daughter. And yeah, it would just be stuff like that. I just wasn't expecting it. So yeah stuff like that, just the whole control factor and not speaking to anybody factor, and threatening my family, like, I'm gonna do this. And around this time, my brother, he was young. My brother was like just starting high school. I think he was just starting high school, or he was in junior high school. I'm not sure. So my brother like really couldn't do nothing. Like, and I didn't tell anybody because, like I said, he would threaten, like he was going to do this and he was going to do that. And I thought that he would have. I didn't know what he was capable of. But now I know he was just a little punk. I'll get to that story later on. Okay. But yeah. So that was just some of the things that happened. And the good thing that turned out with that janitor, like years and years later down the line, I ended up seeing him in my old neighborhood, and he came to me and he was like, "Oh my God, I saw him." I called him. I was like, let's say his name is Rob. I was like, Rob. I saw him. I was like, "Hey, how you doing?" And he was like, "Oh my God." And he was like, "Yo," he told me, he said, "I've been meaning to see you, like, this happened, like, I don't know how many years," but he was like, "Yo, I've been waiting to, like, bump into you because I wanted to apologize if I did anything to you." And this guy was apologizing. The janitor was apologizing to me because he thought that he did something to me, and that I went and told my ex-husband that he did something to me, and that's the reason why that happened. So he was, and I had to tell him, I was like, "No, that wasn't the case." I said, "No, he was abusing me." So I'm just, happy that I was able to let that janitor know, because obviously it had been bothering him for that many years, and it had been bothering me for that many years as well. Because I'm like, "Oh my God, this man thinks that he did something," or I don't know what happened, but what he was thinking that happened. But I just wanted to let him know that no, it wasn't anything that you did. I was being abused. So that's why I said people that I was working with didn't even know that was the case. I'm just gonna end there for now, and I'll be back later on in another video with another story of just some of the things that happened, just so that if you have a family member that is being abused, or if you are experiencing domestic violence, just to let you know that there is a way out. There's always a way out. Like I said, I'm the escape queen. And if you have a family member, just so that you can get a better understanding of what's happening, and to not take it out on them or be too harsh on them, because they may want to leave but don't want to look stupid. They feel like, "Oh my God, if I leave, I'm gonna look dumb," or they might be fearful of leaving, like, if I leave, they're gonna hurt my family, or just things like that, like, "Oh, I can't leave them because I have to protect them. They need me," because these are the lies that they tell. "Oh, I need you. Please don't leave me. I need you to help me. I'll get better." And sometimes they even have a tear coming out their eye. But yeah, so I just wanted to do this quick video. And I'm going to be speaking out more about it, because I think it's time for me to do that. It's time for me to do that. Yeah. Okay. All right. So I will speak to you guys later, and I love you. Bye.